All right, we're back with another special edition for you. Our special guest is a world renowned musician, songwriter, and guitarist extraordinaire. Please welcome Scott Ellison.
Good
Scott,
afternoon, good morning. How are
welcome,
you?
welcome from Hollywood to your
Talk.
town. We love
Yes.
it. And we love your music. Talk a little bit about growing up. How did you get the bug yourself? Were you listening to your parents' records? Was it the radio, some older siblings? How did it all happen for you?
Well, that's a great question. My dad, first of all, was exposed to great music. He had a lot. He had Ray Charles records. They had everything from Brazil '66 to Ray Charles to Frank, Frank and Dean, and everything in between. But one thing my dad did, he bought. He loved Bobby Bland, who I got to open up for a couple of times.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was a big fan of the blues too. And so when I started playing music, I saw the Stones on the Ed Sullivan Show, and of course the Beatles too. So that was like, I'm 71, and which is hard to say those numbers, obviously, but I was born in '54. So I was 10 when they hit the Ed Sullivan Show in '64, in February '64. So for guys my age, guys and gals my age at that time, we were all just completely mesmerized with the British invasion. And so that was when I started taking guitar lessons the Monday after the next day after the Beatles were on the Ed Sullivan Show. I think the Stones were on there a couple of weeks later, but I was taking guitar lessons the next day. That's how obsessed I was. I knew when I saw those guys, I go, well, that looks like a fun job. My dad just kind of rolled his eyes. And but anyway, that's when the addiction started, and it never stopped. So that's how it happened. But I was really exposed to great music, and then, of course, I was very inquisitive about all kinds of music. R&B, soul, R&B, everything. So, and jazz too, a little jazz. So, thank God for my parents' great collection. They're loving music. My dad didn't play any musical instruments. My mom played organ. She played piano and she played drums, but this was all for fun. She never gig or anything, but she had a little Gretsch cocktail kit that she could swing on once in a while, but she was very talented. So got the music from her, but she was very obsessed with art. She was a beautiful painter. That's what she ended up putting her time in throughout her life, and she passed in this last December. But I've got a lot of her paintings she did, but she was real talented. So that's where it all came from, it's the addiction to the arts, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's just I'm absorbed with it, and I've been that way, since I've been young. So that's kind of how it all started.
Well, you can only imagine how many garage bands and music, I guess, musicians' careers started after
Oh,
seeing the Beatles and Ed Sullivan. I'm 5 years younger, but I remember begging my mom to get a guitar, and my family a month later moved to England. So I'm deep in the British invasion,
oh,
watching
absolutely.
Top of the Pops and
Oh,
Cold
yeah.
Gray Whistle Test and all that on
Ready, steady,
TV.
go. Ready, steady, go. Yeah, my buddies from Eric Clapton's band from '74 through '80 was from Tulsa. They played on their first record they played on was Ocean Boulevard,
Yeah.
and all those records up through Backless and everything, Slow Hand and all that. So those guys are like, those guys are my big brothers. And so when I get off the road, I get to go jam with them every so often. So there's a place called the Paradise Club years ago, and I walked in, and they were off the road from Clapton, and it had Carl Radle, Dick Sims on organ, Jamie Oldaker on drums. And so basically there's Clapton's band right there. And they had a guy named Richard Feldman, who's from Tulsa, and he wrote some songs for Eric and all kinds of people. Richard Feldman, he's from Tulsa, and he's a great guitarist, songwriter. So he was playing with them in that club. They're off the Clapton tour. So I got to sit in, and I played I Can't Hold Out by it's on that Ocean Boulevard. I played slide. I was just learning how to play slide. They were impressed. So that's how I, got medal. And this was like probably '78. So they had about another 2 years with Clapton. And so that's how, but anyway, I ended up, when Eric let him go, uh, I ended up, they came back to Tulsa, and this guy named Bill Davis, there's a poster behind me, you'll probably see it, but Bill put a band together, and he said, he had a guitar player, Tommy Triplehorn, who's the father of Jeannie Triplehorn. and he was his guitar player. He used to play in Gary Lewis and the Playboys. If you ever
Oh, sure.
uh, see the videos of Ed Sullivan or whatever Craft Music Special or
Yep.
any of those shows, you're going to see Jimmy Karstein on drums, and then you're going to see Radel on bass and Tommy Triplehorn on guitar. And so these guys are like, I had the best teachers in the world. It's like going to get your PhD in blues, you know? So I learned from those guys, and then I ended up playing with Dick Sims and Jamie Oldaker, the drummer and keyboard player for Clapton, with Bill Davis and Dickie on organ pedals. We didn't have a bass player. And so Carl ended up had kidney problems, and he passed away, and he was going to play some gigs with us. But anyway, but I got to play with those guys. That was like a dream come true, playing with the Clapton guys that I've looked up to for years. So that was my first really big event for me to get to really play with the guys that played on all those records. They were so good, and I learned so much, and that was a blessing.
Talk about learning to write your own songs and creating original music.
Yeah, I always tried to write songs. I didn't really know I was trying to write songs. It's like when I first started. And then I started in high school, I started kind of getting an idea how to do it, but I didn't really understand it. I might come up with a couple cool licks or chords or something, and it stopped there. So I didn't really have the ability then to put it together from A to E or whatever. So I finally, I think it was 19, it might have been around the time with these guys, I played with these guys. I came up with a song called You Don't Know Where You Stand With Me, which ended up on one of my albums later on. But the funny thing is, Jay, I only had when I went to LA in March of 83, March of 1983, I had a half a song to go to LA with. I was kind of more or less thinking about a solo career, but I was still a sideman. I went out, ended up getting some rhythm guitar gigs with, Peaches and Herb and Gary U.S. Bonds and let's see, the Shirelles, the Marvelettes. So a lot of those oldies groups, I got a good little. I had a guy that got me the auditions rather, and Eugene Church. He was a big gospel guy in the '60s. So I made a living of playing rhythm guitar with these oldies acts, and it's not really a dream guitar gig, but I'm a real good rhythm guitar player because that's how I started. And so that's what I got hired to do, is play rhythm guitar all night and just play simple and dumb as a post and stay out of people's way. And I made good money doing it. It was great. And that lasted about 3 years. And then after that ended, started kind of tail at 35. But anyway, back to the song thing. I had a half a song. I went to LA. So the blessing is I got through connections, ended up with writing some of the biggest people in the business. And that's how I learned how to write songs from those guys, like Gary Malaber of Steve Miller Band. He played in all the, he wrote a lot of stuff with Steve. And then I've worked with the Miller guys, John Massaro and Kenny Lee Lewis, who's still playing with Steve Miller, but he's his full-time bass player. So all those kind of guys, the stuff. Michael Price, I've written with. Even last album, he wrote a lot of stuff for Bobby Bland. You remember Temptation Eyes? Remember that song
Yeah.
by he wrote that when he was like 20 years old. So those kind of guys taught me how to write songs. Steve Shepard is a great guy I met out there, and I was his roommate, and he's a great writer. So, Terry Lupton, I could go on and on, but these guys, I really learned how to write by being with the best guys that do it. And it was kind of a crash course. And I finally started seeing, because by that time I just had horrible songs. I was learning how to write it, but none of them were any good, I didn't think. So, but anyway, it's like I got trained and got by osmosis, got to learn something for every one of these guys. And that's how I had learned how to write it. But it was a late development, but I'm addicted to songwriting. So I guess that's good.
Yeah, no, it was incredible, fun stuff, and you learn improvisation, with the
Absolutely.
blues.
Right.
There's a starting point, and just take it from there, and
Right.
and you learn from these guys that the more you have in your well, the more you can draw from, the more
Absolutely.
expressive you can be.
Right. And Gatemouth Brown, I forgot to tell you, I got to tour with him in 1980. This is before I got with the Clapton guys. This is about a year before, or seven. Yeah, I think it was a year before, maybe a year after. I can't remember. Anyway, I got to 2-week tour with him playing rhythm guitar. And man, I was used to playing beer joints with 10 or 15 people in them. All of a sudden I'm playing, festivals and theaters. And I remember the first gig, we played some outdoor festival. I was terrified, man. I've never seen that many people, much less been on stage to have to play for that many people. So I was sitting there kind of shaking off to the side of the stage where I went on, and Gate Mouse came up and said, "You're not nervous, are you?" And he started going like that, and it kind of loosened me up. But anyway, I learned more in 2 weeks from him than I learned in 10 years in some, as far as playing the blues. I just watched him played with the guitar. He'd give me a few solos every show, but man, talking about a learning experience, it was really cool. But that was a big learning thing for me.
Yeah, no, I always say you learn more from doing than you do studying about
Right, right,
a
exactly,
question. Now, obviously, there's nothing like playing with these guys and being a part or being on that stage or being thrown in the deep end and having to kind of, perform or hold your own. Um,
right.
but as far as recorded music, who were some of the greatest guitarists that you always would listen to and be inspired by and kind of look up to?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Like I mentioned earlier, Tommy Triplehorn, who used to play Gary Lewis of the Playboys, he was such a great guitar player. He influenced me rhythm guitar wise. Like, he had the studio chops you hear on records. So I was really inquisitive, and my antennas went up on that. And because he played on records, like, of course, Clapton, Jeff Beck, the British Invasion guys, those guys, and Albert Lee. Albert Lee's on my last record. He plays on a song. We trade fours on a song called "Where Do You Go When You Leave?" And so I don't know if you've heard. I'll have to send it to you. But uh,
And
that was
how did you get Albert to play on your song?
well. My co-producer Lou Castro used to play with Albert, and he got him to play on the record. So that came through him, and that was a big thrill. And but that was just those kind of moments. When you're doing it, you're kind of in the moment, and you're trying just to play the best notes you can. I mean, Albert Lee is literally the best guitar player I've ever heard in my life. The guy can play it's just mind-boggling what comes out of his hands, man. But anyway, I had to be on my tippy toes and just reach for the stars to you know, even hang in there, because it's just, and he's the nicest guy. Man, he's so cool, man. He's, you don't mean he's a nice
Sure. Super
cat,
laid back.
real laid back. But I tell you what, man, talk about inspiration. I start practicing like 4 or 5 hours a day after playing, doing that deal. I mean, and that's what it's all about. Just like, I'll never be as good as that, but I'm going to bust my butt trying. You know what I mean? One of those things.
That's it.
So,
Effort is better than many, and it's
yes,
it comes from the heart, and on
yes,
that
absolutely.
improvisation and what you're playing is kind of an assimilation of everything you've loved and everything you love to do,
Absolutely. Yeah.
all
It's
in
just
one.
all in one. And from being in this business a long time, I mean, you're somebody that loves this business, and I love this business too. I mean, it's, when I say business or showbiz or whatever, I just
Yep.
love it's such, I think I'm one of those people that have to be challenged all the time. I always like have to try to reach for something I might not reach, but like try just to put myself, just to I keep working at it. I'm getting better at 71. I mean, I'm really starting to cop to things that I
Sure.
just now. I mean, you just keep growing. It's amazing. Joe Pass told me that, and so did Tommy Tedesco. I've got a funny story about Tedesco. He, I was signed to his son's publishing company back in '85, and we did some real nice guy. And of course, his brother did the documentary, the Wrecking Crew, and he did the Immediate Family.
Right.
Denny Tedesco. So I worked with Dale. I met Denny one time, but Tommy, this is one that's going to crack you up here. So I was doing these demo. I was putting songs together for Dale Tedesco. In other words, like, I would get he might get a song in from say a girl, an acoustic guitar and just guitar and vocal, and he liked the voice or whatever, he liked the song. So I would put together like a, I'd get a rhythm section together and a keyboard player, and he would say, "Can you get me a girl that sounds like Shaka Khan, or sounds like Linda Ronstadt, or sounds like whoever." And so I do my best. I, through connections, I'd find somebody that, would sing demos real well, and try to match up what, I had this girl out there, Patty Unitas, uh, and I think she's from Boston originally. I think no, from Baltimore. I think I might be wrong. My memories. But anyway, she sounded so much like she's a white girl and sounded black. She was so soulful. But I used her for some demos like that, and so did that a little bit, and then he had one song. My first cut with Tedesco was a song called something mystery something, but it was an instrumental. It was on. You remember that show on NBC, Santa Barbara?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first cut on that show.
Okay.
And so anyway, so long story short, Jay, I was Dale apparently been playing some demos that I'd put together to, like, try to sell a song. In other words, a girl sent the song in or whatever, and he wanted a full band and rearrange the tune and make it sound like a Rufus Shaka Khan thing. It could be it could be, whoever was popular at that time. And so I was able to do that. And so anyway, he had played some of those demos for Tommy Tedesco. And Tommy said, I love the way this guy plays. He's got studio chops. He knows how to play in the studio, da, da, da. And I was still, I was real conscious of, like, supporting the song. I got to play the rhythm guitar and make it on the 2 and 4 where it grooved, just and play tasty on these things. And if it needed me to play a crazy solo, do that too. But I was always trying to service the song because he's trying to sell these tunes. So Tommy saw that, and here's where it's kind of funny and sad at the same time. But I went over to his house. I'm sitting there, I'm shaking. I'm going to meet the most recorded guitar player in the history of music. I walk in, he answers the door in his boxer shorts, carrying a classical guitar. And I walked in with Dale, and there's probably 10 guitars on guitar stands that are all classical guitars. And a lot of them look the same, but anyway, he loved those guitars. And so we were playing and talking. He said, yeah, I got some, he was, getting kind of up in age there, but he still was doing he was mainly doing TV movie dates,
Uh-huh.
and, so anyway, he said, look, I got all these things. I'll send you out on some of these things I don't want to do because you got the studio thing. And since you read real well, this is going to be a piece of cake. This is great. I can send you out on these things. I go, and he goes, you read, don't you? And I go, well, and I was stuttering and stammering. I go, no, but he goes, he just rolled. He just, like, it got silent. And then he goes, you got to be kidding me. I said, no, sir, I don't read. I can read a chord chart, that kind of thing. I can, create parts. And he said, how do you play like you do and can't read effing music? So I'm sitting there. And so it got to be kind of bombastic. And he was kind of like, he was on me a little bit. And he said, how do you not learn how to read when you play like that? Like, he was just so confused, and how could I play like this but not read? So anyway, that old saying where, our parents said, you better learn how to read music, little Billy, or whatever. That hit me like a ton of bricks right between the eyes. I go, what have I done to myself? When I was leaving that house, I knew I'd blown it. The biggest chance I've ever had to be on these big Tommy Tedesco given dates to me, but that anyway, so that kind of ended that. So I didn't get any dates from him because I couldn't read music, but that was one that just, the what ifs of the world, right? We all have them, but that was one that stays in my brain. I think about it every day. I laugh at it now, but it's one of those deals where, God, Ellison, why do you know how to read music? So that's one. Everybody has a couple, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of great artists out there that truly play by ear. They play from,
Yes.
self-taught. They
Yeah.
don't read music. Dave Grohl, a whole bunch of these guys that write hit songs and sell millions of records do not read music.
Right. The funny thing about that is Joe Osborne, the great bass player, studio guy, on the Wrecking Crew. That guy played bass on so many things. One of the greatest studio bass players ever. Carol Kay, him, love Carol Kay, love Joe. But I'll never forget on that Wrecking Crew, I think there's a scene where he's going, yeah, well, Tommy made me learn how to read music. He forced me to learn how to read music. I didn't have a choice. And he said, learn how to read music real well and sight read. You won't have to come up with parts. You just read the music. You want to, And so for me, coming up with parts is like easy for me. That's like, him reading music or whatever. That's how I learned how to. So a lot of sessions that I did for of these a lot of demo sessions. I'll just put that. I did a lot of, but I'd work for different publishing companies at that time in the '80s. You know, 83, 84, 85, 86. I did so many demos for like 3 or 4 publishing companies. They would get demos they wanted. It's kind of like the same thing with Tedesco Publishing. I'd put together a section, and if they said, "Hey, make this sound like Annie Lennox or something," so I'd have to bring in somebody to kind of fluff it up a little bit. But I'd make sure it sounded like that. I knew how to put it together. I kind of had a arranger's ear without knowing it. It just kind of was automatic because I listened to so many records and the cycling of the song and how the bridge comes in if there's a middle eight or whatever. So I learned all that by doing it's kind of on the job training basically. And I had to do it real fast too, because they were expecting it. And I did that for Larry Shane Music too, out in Santa Monica. I don't know if he's still around. Larry Shane, I think he was hooked up with Marvin Hemlich. I think he owned the chorus line and a bunch of stuff, but I did some demos for him. He gave me the same kind of thing. So I had that ability to put it together, put tracks together and get guys to put it. Now I can do it by myself or with my band, whichever it works. But it's on the job training. I mean, being in LA, I still feel like I'm there talking to you. I feel like, okay, you're on Lancashire. You realize, I think I told you this, Jay, I live off of Colfax between Magnolia and on Colfax and Riverside. I live
Oh
between
wow.
on those apartments, right? I don't. There's a mail post office or a depot thing or something across the street. But anyway, I'm not that. I looked at when I first started getting with you. I go, God. I told my girlfriend. I said, man, this is like 3 blocks from where I used to live, in North Hollywood, to my place. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a small world. It's amazing how things happen.
No, it really is, and you could be anywhere in the world and do what you do as long as
Yeah,
you have people in the right place, to get
exactly.
it heard, get it seen.
Got
But
your tribe together. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and we talk about these, great guitarists, Jimi Hendrix and Billy Gibbons and Stevie Ray
Huh.
Vaughan and Jeff Beck and
My
and all
favorite.
that. And the more you learn about them, the more you realize that they're pretty much self-taught. You
They are
know,
so. Yeah, and I've
they
learned.
just they got the bug and they never put the guitar down, and they just every time they pick it up they're looking for new sounds and new
Absolutely.
ideas.
Yeah, it's funny, Clapton. I mean, I'm absorbed with Eric and Jeff Beck and of course Jimi Hendrix and Billy Gibbons, and uh, I challenged myself over the pandemic, and I never played that much Hendrix. I played a lot of licks by Hendrix, but never played any songs. But I loved Hendrix. I just, for some reason, I was steered toward the Claptons and Jeff Beck and all that. But anyway, I've always loved the song "Freedom" and
Yeah,
by Hendrix. That was my
one of my
favorite.
favorites.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the last ones he did on my Electric Ladyland, if I'm right, I can't remember exactly, but I learned how to play that. I woodshedded that tune for a while over pandemic, and then I ended up recording it, and I'll send it to you. It's kind of cool, but it was fun, but it was a challenge to me, and I was so uh, happy with my improvement to be able to pull that off, Jay. I mean, I had to work my tail off. I had to work my tail off to be able to nail that, and I wanted to do it the best way I can. I'll send it to you, but I can't even tell you the many hours I had to get it down to woodshed to really shed down and listen, learn by ear, and pick those notes out. I didn't, there's now you can get on the YouTube and video and learn how to play a song or whatever, which I don't do, but I think it's great for people to do that because they can really learn how to play it. But back in the day, in our day, you had to get it off the record or whatever. So what I did, I went old school and just watched his hands and listened to it again, watched his hands, live performance, whatever. And so that helped a lot. But man, it's such a great feeling of satisfaction when I can listen to it. It sounds pretty good. I mean, the mix is what I did on it to make mine different. Did two drummer thing
Okay.
on I thought it'd be kind of cool because I've always loved Mitch Mitchell. He's got that. His facility was unbelievable, and nobody sounded like him. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to like have a two drummer thing with a trio song. I thought it'd be kind of cool. So it is what it is. But I sure had fun learning and doing it. So it was great. Sang all the backups and the lead vocal and played all the guitars. So that was a learning experience. And over the pandemic, I ended up doing 2 albums basically. In 21 it came out, 22 it came out. Had a #1 record, blues record on the Roots charts with what's the name of that record again? There's something about the night. There's something about the night. So that was, a lot of work over the pandemic. I reinvented myself and just got better. That was my whole deal.
Well, that's it. If you love what you do, it's not really work. It's your
No,
life.
it's your life. You're absorbed in it.
Yeah, you can't wait to create and see where it'll take you.
Absolutely.
But we're all inspired by each other. We're all inspired by those that have come before us. But
Yes, and you inspire me
back.
too. You're a very inspiring person. Just your history and what you put together, and it's amazing. It's
The
together in your
marching
career. It's
band, they had
amazing.
the orchestra.
Right.
They
I
had all.
got to. Let's see. Where's that picture? Oh, right here. Hold on one second. I'll show you my stage band picture.
Okay.
Playing guitar. Now there's 2 guitar players, and this is it right here. You can see me right where. Let's see the 335. Where is it? It's a little dusty here. I'm trying to find where I'm playing. Let's see. You see it where I'm? Hold on. Oh, here it is right here. I'm on the right. There's 230. Both of us are playing 335s. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's right there. That's me right there with the 335. I wish I had that 335. That's a 1970 335. And they're about 10 grand now. I wish that's one that got away, but I still have another 335. So, but that one, good God, man, the guitars I've let go that I wish I had now, but hey, we've all done it.
Well, yeah. I mean, who would have known back then, what guitar collecting and memorabilia would lead to, I'm up
Absolutely.
the street from Norm's Rare Guitars over here.
Norm, oh my God. I bought a Les Paul. Norm gave me, this is 1989. And I was up, Kenny Lee Lewis of the Steve Miller Band. He plays great guitar too. And he plays bass with Miller. And I'd been to Norm's in the morning because we had a session over his house. I was going to, we were writing a song, recording it. And Norm had about, oh my God, Jay, he had probably 20 Les Pauls. And the cheapest one, it looked like, somebody got a screwdriver and a hammer, just knocked chunks out of it. And it played great. It looked like it'd been run over by a car. It played great. The frets were great. Intonation was great. I got it for $400. And this is 1989. And it was the worst of the lot. He had like maybe 25 Les Pauls. It was number 25, but it played great. So I bought it and I brought it over to Kenny's. He goes, "Oh, Scotty, I can't do that. I can't go get a Les Paul like that anymore. My wife, I got it, my little girl and everything. And I said, I can't do that anymore like I used to. And we were laughing about that. But, it's still Norm's. I mean, I could go to Norm's and I could stay in there from opening to closing and just gaze and play guitars all day. I mean, the place is a spiritually, uplifting place anyway, besides the guitars. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, it's like a museum, but you can actually purchase, like you can from the Smithsonian.
And you'll never, right, exactly. And you never know who you're going to meet in there. I mean, like, it's like,
oh my gosh.
You walk in there,
I run into rock stars all the time there. You can imagine if you worked there,
Right. I can't.
Slash walks in the door, or Bonamassa, or
Right, exactly. It's a great scene. I mean, I just, that's the thing I miss out there, like those kind of things that a small town can't provide, So, but I'm so glad his health is good too. Norm seems to be doing okay from what I understand. He had that serious surgery, I guess, and but he's doing well.
Yeah, you wonder who's next in line, who's gonna take it from Norm when he can't do it anymore.
Well, I'll tell you a health scare. My basically, I've got a new band doing this little run here. My drummer of 23 years, Robbie Armstrong, he's been with me about 23 years, had a really bad heart attack after we got back from Kansas City about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and within 24 hours he'd had a heart attack when we got back, and then so he's going to have to go he's going to have to have heart valve surgery and then open heart surgery when he gets well from that. Pardon me. So he's out of the commission. So I had to get another drummer. I was very fortunate to get this guy, Eddie Clark. He used to play with William Clark, the late William Clark,
Okay.
harmonica player. So anyway, I got him, and I got a young whippersnapper, whiz kid from Chicago is going to play bass with me on this festival, this firefighters thing. And then I've got another kid, Sebastian Russo out of Kansas City, that's going to play bass with me on the Fargo Fest. So between those young guys, I can, kind of like platoon them like a left-handed hitter, right-handed hitter, kind of you bet left against right-handers, you bet right against left-handers, kind of thing,
There you
So
go.
baseball analogies do work for music all the time. So
Oh, yes.
that'll buy me some time and see which one's going to work the best for road stuff. But I can actually use both of them for a while. I probably might end up use both of them. I got a solid drummer. So, and my bass player is been with me for about probably off and on 30 years, Jay. And he's he's really in bad health. He's had some strokes, and anyway, he can't make this trip. He's pretty much he's in a wheelchair most of the time, and he sits in a chair to play. But we've been doing that for the last 7 or 8 years. So he's really sick now. So I had to do it pretty quick. So that's been stressful for me having to put this together. So it's all together. The guys learn the songs, and we leave out of here Friday morning, and we'll meet the bass player in South Bend, and go over the show real quick before we go out and play in front of about 15,000 people. So there's always that. See, the thing about me is, like, I love the challenge. I mean, most guys go, I can't get out there and play with that frame of people without having a rehearsal with this guy. And I go, this guy, I heard him play. We did the FaceTime thing. He's great. I sent him the tunes. I said, hey, man, let me hear you play bass just by yourself. And so we did this thing. He's just like, so that'll be fine. Here comes the songs. He got all the tunes. Another guy got the tunes. So they got him learned. And I'm going to go for it, Jay. Here we go, man. Same thing with the Fargo deal. That'll be probably the biggest. But both these are real big festivals. Fargo, it's hard to call.
Now, what's the first one? What's the first festival called?
It's called South Bend? Yeah, it's called the Firefighters Blues Festival in South Bend.
Firefighters Blues Festival.
And they.
How many years has that been going?
Oh, it's been going on probably 15 years, maybe.
I think it said 23.
Maybe 23. Okay.
On the website.
Cool. 23 years. I'm wrong.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, I played it a number of times, and it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. I was on there with some great people in the past, and so this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
That's amazing. And then
Yeah.
the second one in Fargo, it's called what?
Yeah, the Fargo Blues Festival, and that's August 1st. And
It's 2 days.
I'm sorry?
It's 2 days.
Yeah, it's a 2-day festival. Yeah, we're playing the Friday, and then they got everybody on it. Samantha Fish,
Okay.
On and on. They got all kinds of great people on it. So I'm looking forward to that. So those festivals, that's really, it's where it's at for blues, playing the festivals. Of course, you got to play the clubs too, but that's what's the most fun and spiritual moving for me is, having all those people out there, grooving with you. And I'm a trio. So, I'm used to being a trio. So that's another thing is, like, I had a buddy call me and said, Scotty, how can you use these guys? I never rehearsed with you, man. You got to go out and play your originals. I said, I know, man. I said, it's a challenge. But that's me. I like and then, as you know, from being in this business a long time, Jay, that there's nothing like putting, I know you challenge yourself a lot too. And, you're constantly doing stuff. And so that's that keeps me going. And these guys are younger guys. And, I love it, man. It's going to be a new experience for me because I've always talked to my girlfriend about Linda here. Say hi, Linda. Say hi, Linda.
Hi, Jay.
Hello.
And anyway, so, playing with these younger guys, I've told her for a long time, I said, there's going to be some time when Matt and Robbie are going to be out of commission and they're hanging by a thread right now. And I said, and of course I didn't even want to think about playing with anybody else. These guys were like a joint at the hip. So, but, you have to be realistic with yourself and realize that, because I'd kind of run away from it, to be honest. We're all real close, and I knew that the time was going to be coming pretty soon. I mean, it was, because it's written on the wall. There's no way that these guys are going to last much longer. And I just kind of decompartmentalized the whole thing. But then when Robbie had his heart attack and then Matt went down, I said, oh my God. So it's like, there was no time to think. I just had to react and start. I mean, making calls. You know how it is. I mean, we're on the phone 8 hours a day sometimes. So, but it worked out, and that's part one of my challenge that I pulled off. Now the other thing is got to play the shows, and I hope it comes off good. But I know it will. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not really worried at all. I'm excited about the challenge of it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to jump out of the plane and just hope that your chute works.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, exactly. I'm pulling the
You can't open your parachute in the plane. You just have
right.
to.
Right.
You got
That's
to
what
have
I
that
do.
faith.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
It was packed right, and you got to just take that leap.
Yeah. Bobby
Leap
Ray
of
packed
faith.
it good, didn't he? I think it's good. Okay. But anyway, yeah, it's a crazy life in this business. But and as you know, I think when we first talked, it's like, I mean, I'm 71. It's total reinvention to be in this culture, playing music and being in this business, being in this industry that we're in. It's like, things that were holdable 2 years ago are no longer holdable, as you know. It's just like, and you have to be an older guy in the business. I mean, I've always kept you know, my brain has always been plugged into the tentacles that reach out in all aspects of the business. I could learn as much as I could about it. So I've always looked at what's moving and what's dropping, and tried to stay on top. And you really do the best you can, but sometimes it goes past you because the culture, technology is changing. Technology scares me a little bit for the fact it's moving so fast. That kind of scares me a little bit sometimes. I'm trying to keep up, but in this culture and time of music and 25, I mean, it's like it's a whole new world for all of us, and especially guys older in the business like I am. It's just like, okay, I got to learn how to do this, and so it's on the job training again here, Jay. Here we go.
What is it? You just got to have a passion for it, and give it your all. That's all that you can do.
Yes, sir. You're right.
Can't
That's
worry
right.
about new technology that's coming tomorrow.
Right. You just gotta
It's
kind
it's
of hang
still
with
it's
it.
still going to come down to that human creative
Absolutely.
energy.
And I really do believe this, and I'll go to my grave with this one. But good music, great music will win. I've always said this: great music will always win in the end. Great music will always conquer in the end. In other words, like, there's only so long. It's like you got to have water, you got to have music, and I think like the stuff I'm doing is I feel still relevant. It's hard for a 71-year-old musician, writer, and producer to say that sometimes, but I feel like I'm still can do my groove and find that lane that I can still do well in. And I'm just pushing forward, keep pushing forward.
Well, we appreciate you. Your music sounds fantastic. We look forward to great things together. Our
Thank you,
special
sir.
guest has been the one and only Scott Ellison. Best of luck out there playing those great big festivals, the Firefighters and the Fargo Blues Festival. And can't wait to hear more about the shows coming up and how these players are working out for you. Keep that
Great.
great music coming. We will
Well,
be back to you before you know it. Thanks
sounds
so
good.
much, Scott.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jay.
all.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.